interesting is that it would be a very different time and a very different conversation than when that clip went viral earlier this season, because Kalen DeBoer did lead the Alabama Crimson Tide to the SEC championship game. They finished tied for first place in the SEC standings. They are in the college football playoff after being left out in year one of the Kalen DeBoer era. And I think that Kalen DeBoer is one of the best coaches in the college football playoff field. I think that Kalen DeBoer is one of the best coaches in America. So if he goes to Michigan, home run hire for the Wolverines. But you said, what happens for Alabama? And that's where I think, after straying away after Nick Saban, kind of going outside of the Nick Saban tree, that's when I think Alabama would go right back to the comfy confines of the Nick Saban coaching tree. That means you call up Kirby Smart, you make him say no. That means you call up Steve Sarkisian at Texas, you make him say no. And that means you check exactly on what the clauses are and how wet is that ink on Lane Kiffin's contract with LSU. I think that my expectation is that Alabama, which like Michigan is one of the best jobs in all of sports, I think that they would go right back to the Nick Saban tree and run through the assistants, maybe even getting to Miami's Mario Cristobal, another Nick Saban assistant who won national championships as an associate head coach and offensive line head coach. I think it would be right back to those familiar names for those around Tuscaloosa.
I want to get more into the Kiffin name in just a second, but a question here about this Michigan opening and as it pertains to a coach who is coaching in the playoff. We've already seen Lane Kiffin leave his playoff team to start a job elsewhere. Is there any chance in your mind that if it is DeBoer, like, he doesn't even make it to the Alabama playoff game?
No chance. Here's why, Chris, and this is, I know I'm going outside of our timeline, but this is important. They have to clean up the whole athletic department at Michigan. I think Athletic Director Ward Manuel is going to have to answer to the university administrators, to the Board of Regents, about who knew what when. The reporting indicates that there was some investigation into improprieties by Sharon Moore that didn't turn up the results. That recent evidence led them to do the immediate termination with cause. I think that the future of the athletic director, the future of the athletic department, which has also undergone scandals in hockey and men's basketball, there is too much of a mess, Chris, for me to have any expectation that anything happens quickly. It is such a mess that I am entertaining the idea that Biff Poggi is the head coach in an interim status, even for the 2026 season. Wow. I don't think that's what would happen. That is not my bet, but in my no bad ideas status of what the future looks like for Michigan football, I have entertained the fact that there are so many university-related issues that still need to be sorted through. The qualified coach might not be willing to say yes, because you don't know whether the athletic director that's hiring you will be there in the future, and you don't know what you'd be signing up for. So I do not think at all that we will see a college football playoff coach leave their post leading a college football team to go and take this Michigan job. It is too messy, too raw, too real right now for you to be able to give up on a potential title run. Okay, so if it is DeBoer, let's continue to play this out. He goes on with Alabama until they're eliminated or win the college football playoff. He goes there. What if what you said earlier is true and they start shaking the Nick Saban coaching tree and Lane Kiffin is out there? Would it really surprise you that much if Lane Kiffin would be interested in this job before ever coaching a game for LSU? It would not surprise me at all if Lane Kiffin would be interested in this job, whether or not he would be willing, after all of the saga and the drama that was included with that LSU, Ole Miss, Florida debacle of a coaching carousel situation. It would surprise me if he did end up leaving Baton Rouge for Tuscaloosa. However, if they did, LSU then would go into a position where LSU has not had to deal with because LSU got their guy, right? Florida had to pivot to John Summerall and other candidates. Ole Miss had to figure out what its backup plan might be. LSU had its eyes set on Lane Kiffin from the jump. They stayed in the game, they pursued him, and they got him. to all of a sudden be left without a head coach at LSU would be remarkable because, yes, did we see Manny Diaz accept the head coaching job at Temple and then leave to go take it at Miami? Did we see Chris Beard take the head coaching job at UNLV men's basketball before leaving to take Texas Tech? Yes and yes. But that was Temple and UNLV. Right. That wasn't LSU. So that would be a true stunner and a shock if Lane Kiffin did this. I think that because of how messy everything got, everyone's kind of like, ooh, will Lane do it? But ultimately, I just don't think that even as we are a couple of surprising moves down these dominoes, I don't see Lane Kiffin, even if Alabama opened up, leaving LSU.
I've heard you say LSU is potentially the best job in America. Is that job better than Alabama's?
I think LSU is better than Alabama because at LSU, you've got everybody working in your favor. You still have to deal with the Iron Bowl rivalry, which we know goes on 365 days of the year. Now, is Alabama a better job than Auburn? In my opinion, absolutely. And probably a lot of people's opinion, absolutely. But at LSU, from grade school all the way up through high school, you are training your best and brightest in the football world to go and be Tigers. And so, yeah, that's why I've had LSU second only to Ohio State in terms of the way that I view that job. So if you're asking me, Chip Patterson? Yeah, I think that LSU is a better job than Alabama. However, I think that Lane Kiffin, from his time in Tuscaloosa with Nick Saban, would have a more fond appreciation that I'm never going to understand, having not been inside the belly of the beast.
Until yesterday evening, all the talk was about Notre Dame and how they were shut out of the college football playoff and what this means for the future and the conference tie-ins and all that. Any chance Marcus Freeman could be involved here? I mean, he's an Ohio State alum. This would obviously be a bombshell. What happens if that bomb goes off?
Okay, well, first of all, no. Marcus Freeman is not leaving Notre Dame to go to Michigan. You can old takes expose me on this one. I do not see that. Marcus Freeman is in an amazing spot at Notre Dame right now. He had 0 decommits from a top 5 class. He is recruiting at a high level. He is winning at a high level. There is a lot of frustration that the Fighting Irish did not make the college football playoff, but especially with the news that we found out that Notre Dame gets an automatic fast pass to the CFP if they're simply ranked inside the top 12. Are you kidding me? They should be able to do that almost every single season. That is not something that is guaranteed at Michigan. Heck, that is something that is not guaranteed at your alma mater, Ohio State. My thought, I'm not close with Marcus on this one, but my thought has been Marcus Freeman will stay at Notre Dame except for an NFL or potentially Ohio State. I definitely do not see it being for Michigan because I'm not sure that Michigan, especially right now, is even a better job than Notre Dame, especially when you consider how well he's got that Notre Dame machine humming moving into the future.
I have one what if for you, and there's another coach out there who has perhaps the most surprising coaching move in recent memory on his resume. It happened 4 years ago.